In today's podcast, I want to talk about Cassandra Syndrome and the missing link. Why your ADHD husband's meltdowns may begin in the body, and why that doesn't mean you must sacrifice yourself. If you've been married to an autistic husband for years, you've probably asked yourself this question: how can someone go from calm to explosive so quickly? 1 minute you're discussing dinner, the next minute you're being blamed, criticized, shut out, or witnessing an emotional meltdown that seems to come completely out of nowhere. And afterwards you may hear, "Oh, I didn't know I reacted that way. I wasn't upset until you said that. You caught me off guard. It wasn't a big deal." And meanwhile, you're left thinking, what the hell just happened? What did I miss? How do I prevent this from happening again? And over time, many wives begin walking on eggshells. They're scanning for danger, monitoring tone of voice, trying to predict what might trigger the next emotional storm. And eventually, they become experts at reading everyone else's nervous system except their own. So today, I want to talk about a hidden piece of the puzzle that may help explain what you've experienced. It's called interoception. And while understanding it may help you make sense of your husband's meltdowns, it may also help you stop losing yourself in the process. So let's talk about the hidden sense nobody told you about. Most of us have learned that there are 5 senses, right? But neuroscience has identified another important sense called interoception. What is interoception? It's your ability to recognize what's happening inside your own body. It notices, I'm hungry, my heart's racing, I'm getting overwhelmed, my breathing is shallow, I'm becoming anxious, I need a break. But for most autistic people, interoceptive awareness can be reduced or inconsistent. Their bodies may be escalating toward overload without them realizing it. Their heart rate increases, their muscles get tight, sensory stress accumulates, fatigue builds, cognitive flexibility decreases, but they don't consciously register those signals until suddenly everything interrupts. Now, to the wife experiencing Cassandra Syndrome, it feels like emotional whiplash because from your perspective, nothing happened. There was no precursor to the event or an antecedent to the blow up. Everything was going fine and then everything blew up. Now let's talk about the part no one else is talking about. Understanding this physiology can be incredibly validating. It may explain why your husband genuinely says, "I didn't know I was getting upset. I didn't think I was raising my voice," because he may not have known. But here's the part I don't want you to miss. Explaining something is not the same as excusing it. Understanding physiology does not erase impact. You can understand that your husband struggles to recognize his internal warning signs and still acknowledge that being on the receiving end of those meltdowns has hurt you deeply. Both realities can exist at the same time. His system challenges do matter, and your nervous system injuries matter too. This is where so many wives get lost. They become students of autism, reading books, reading articles, watching videos. They become experts in masking. They become researchers of executive dysfunction. They become specialists in sensory overload. Meanwhile, nobody asks you, what has all this done to you? On that note, let's talk about how Cassandra Syndrome changes your nervous system. When emotional explosions happen repeatedly and unpredictably, your nervous system adapts. You become hypervigilant. You listen for subtle changes in footsteps. You notice slight shifts in facial expressions. You monitor his voice tone. You replay conversations. You rehearse explanations. You prepare yourself to be blamed. And eventually your body becomes the smoke detector for the entire relationship. You notice danger long before anyone else. And while this adaptation helped you survive, it comes at a tremendous cost. You stop noticing yourself. You override hunger. You ignore exhaustion. You push through anxiety. You suppress sadness. You minimize resentment. You become disconnected from your own internal signals. That's one of the hidden wounds of Cassandra Syndrome. Now let's talk about the dangerous trap of you becoming his nervous system. Many neurotypical wives eventually assume an impossible responsibility. Well, if I can just monitor him well enough, or if I can predict it early enough, or if I can say things the right way, or if I can prevent overload, then maybe we'll finally be okay. Sweetheart, that job was never yours. You can't become someone else's interoception. You can't permanently monitor another adult's body for them. You can't sacrifice your own well-being to compensate for his lack of awareness. You can support, you can encourage, you can collaborate, but you can't carry responsibility that belongs to another person, because eventually you break. And many of the women I speak with already have broken. They're exhausted, they're tired, they're emotionally depleted, they're burned out from trying to keep everyone regulated, including the person who was supposed to help regulate life alongside them. Now let's talk about understanding without self-abandonment. So let's ask the question, what does healthy compassion look like? Well, it sounds like this. I understand that you might not recognize your body's warning signals, but I also need you to take responsibility for learning them. Or you can say, I understand you didn't intend to hurt me, but I still need acknowledgement that I was hurt. Or you can say, I understand that autism creates challenges and I matter too. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. Boundaries without compassion becomes resentment. Healing requires both compassion and boundaries. Now let's talk about reclaiming your own interoception. Here's the irony. Many wives suffering from Cassandra Syndrome have already lost touch with their own bodies too. So today, I want to invite you back to yourself. Several times today, pause and ask, what am I feeling physically? Am I tired? Hungry? How's my breathing? Where am I holding tension? Am I anxious? Am I grieving? Do I need rest? Do I need support? Do I need to say no? Do I need comfort? Do I need to stop fixing everything? Now, for some of you, those questions may feel unfamiliar because you've spent years scanning everyone else's emotional weather. You forgot you had a climate of your own. But your body has been speaking all along. It's been whispering, this is too much. I need help. I'm overwhelmed. I matter too. Perhaps it's time to start listening to that whisper. Now let's talk about what responsibility looks like. Interoceptive deficits are real. They deserve understanding. But understanding must move toward responsibility. An autistic husband can learn to monitor stress levels so he can learn to use body check-ins, track warning signs, develop connection stops, request breaks before overload, seek coaching and support, practice regulation skills. Growth is possible. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is ownership, because the burden of preventing meltdowns can't rest entirely on the wife. Healthy relationships require both people participating in the work of awareness. Now I want to talk about how you were never meant to carry this alone. If you've been living with Cassandra Syndrome, I want you to hear this. You're not selfish for being tired. You're not cruel for acknowledging your pain. And you're not unsupportive because you need limits. And you're not responsible for becoming another person's nervous system. Understanding the biology can bring compassion. But compassion should never require you to disappear. So the invitation today is not simply to understand your ASD spouse better. The invitation is to come home to yourself, to notice your own racing heart, your own shallow breathing, your own exhaustion, your own grief, your own wisdom. Because healing doesn't happen when one person carries both people. Healing begins when both partners learn to notice what's happening inside them and take responsibility for responding with care. For him, for you, and for the relationship. And if you've spent years believing that your needs mattered less than keeping the peace, let this be your reminder. Your nervous system matters too. And maybe for the first time in a very long time, it's okay to listen to what it's been trying to tell you. Now, if this video resonated with your experience, I'd love to hear from you. Have you found yourself becoming the emotional weather forecaster in your marriage? Have you lost touch with your own needs while trying to manage everyone else's? Share your experience in the comments below. I will read and respond to your comment. And if this message helped you feel seen and understood, please subscribe and share it with another wife who needs the reminder that understanding autism should never require abandoning yourself. You matter too. And I'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, this is Mark. Some of you may not know that I have a lot of books on Amazon. So if you like my videos, you'll like my books. I have several for ASD spouses, for NT spouses, and for the neurodiverse couple. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this link. Feel free to click on that link and see what's available. I'm sure you'll find something that applies to you. So if you're struggling in your neurodiverse marriage, help is available, one click away.